Is there
Okay,
video?
we're on live. Okay, cool. Okay, I think we're live now. So I will say hello, welcome everyone. Thanks for joining us. I am so excited to be here. And first of all, I just really appreciate everyone in the audience for being here. Obviously, all the advisors for being here. We know it's like end of year season. We were actually just talking about, we just had our Navattic end of year celebration yesterday. So we know that this can be a busy time between like reviews, wrapping things up, planning for next year. So appreciate you just taking some time to reflect. And that's really why we wanted to do this. I know this year has moved so fast. It's been such a crazy year. So we really just wanted to set aside some time where we could all reflect on what's working and maybe what's not working. And I think for a bit of context, for anyone who doesn't know, this awesome group of marketers that we have here is actually just a subset of the Navattic Advisor Program. So a lot of you all have been around for like 2 or 3 years, which is so cool, crazy to say. And each quarter we do a strategic advising session where we talk about like the state of the market, maybe what you all are seeing with other clients, any feedback we have on big initiatives or product launches. And after our last one, I remember someone was like, we should maybe record this. Like, why don't we, show off what we're learning to the world? And that's kind of what we wanted to do here. Basically, live stream our actual advisor brainstorm so we can all hear about what's working, what's not, and if anyone has questions, get to hop in there as well. So huge thank you, first of all, again, all the advisors for being here, everyone in the audience. Huge thank you for Meredith on my team behind the scenes organizing all this. And now, before we start, which will be soon, I'm just going to do some quick logistics. So you see a lot of us up here. This is the first time personally for me I have ever moderated with this many panelists. But that's because we wanted to really replicate what it's like to have those advisor meetings and to get a lot of different perspectives. So we have a few topics that we want to touch on. We're mostly going to talk about, again, what worked, what didn't, and what we're bringing into next year. But this is live, so we might go a little off topic. We might have a little bit of talking over each other. That's part of the fun. If we're really going off track and there's something you're really excited about, feel free to bring us back into the chat. But just know that's kind of what we wanted to try is just some live brainstorming and getting into it. Okay, so before we get to the tactical stuff, I'll kind of just do a pulse check with everyone here and in the audience. Like, feel free to also put it in the chat. But curious from your perspective, if you were to look back on 2025, was it great year, thumbs up, ups and downs, maybe thumb in the middle, or not your best year, maybe thumbs down, looking forward to 2026? Okay, so for group here, I guess we'll do it in, yeah, just put thumbs up, medium, down. Okay, okay, okay. We got a lot of this is positive. A lot of thumbs up, a lot of mediums. Jason, I'm gonna pick on you first because you
Oh
were the
God.
first to answer, and that was a very a very thumbs
I
up.
knew too.
So
I was like, I should wait. Um,
I
yeah, no,
love
it's a good year. I think that that in terms of for me, it's launched an agency, um, and that's been going well, and get to work with you and the team more. And then also too, yeah, just anyone if anyone knows me, I have a business called Productive PMM, and I'm Jason Oakley, by the way. Hi. But yeah, basically, businesses are continuing to grow, um, and for me, that's a thumbs up. So yeah,
love it.
thumbs way up.
Okay, Elin, I also saw you had a lot of thumbs up, so I'm gonna also choose you. Why was it a super thumbs up year?
Thank you so much. Yeah, I actually was trying to put a medium thumb, but I couldn't find a medium, so I just went with up. But I would say overall it's been positive. I would say from the highlights, I also really focus, just a quick introduction. My name is Eileen. I'm a product marketing coach. I think similar to Jason, I also built a separate company, which is focused on PMM recruiting. So that's been going well, kind of figuring out the other side of the business. One side is helping product marketers, the other side is helping companies hire the best product marketers. So that's been something that's really meaningful for me, but also just kind of honing in on what does my audience really need, and being very crystal clear and focused on delivering those things instead of kind of paying attention to the noise. Sort of like walking the walk, as the product marketer, as you call it, has been really meaningful. The only reason I put a slight down thumb is, as you probably know, I've been kind of sick earlier this year. So health is number one. So that's been a downside, which is something I want to improve on next year.
Mm.
Good
Congrats, by
connect.
the way, Yulin. That
Thank
was
you.
really cool.
Yeah.
I saw the post about 3 a.m. the other day.
Thank you. Likewise.
Yeah.
Okay, I do want to call on someone who maybe had a medium thumb as well. Karina, I think I saw you had medium.
Yeah, it was hard to pick between up or down, but I think that overall, the business for my personal business has been going very well, but it has been super challenging, I think, across just B2B SaaS with metrics, how we're viewing things, pipeline, all the changes in the space, AI this, AI that. So I think just kind of figuring out what is going to be relevant for your audience and when has been really probably the hardest in my career. But yeah, I'm excited for 2026. I think we could all use like a little bit of a refresh and a little bit more levity.
I think that's a great way to put it. Honestly, that's why I was kind of medium thumb as well. It just was such a, in some ways, a really exciting year with so much changing, but also felt like B2B SaaS just kind of entirely, I don't know, got turned on its head. I
Yep.
knew so many other marketers who, yeah, their entire position changed, their way they work teams, their teams changed. And it's fun to have some new challenges, but also kind of felt like whiplash at times that all the things were going on at once.
Yeah.
I think that kind of leads well into what didn't go as well in 2025. I have a feeling that some AI stuff might be on there. But wanted to start with, what didn't work, what were maybe some flops or some things that were just overhyped or were kind of fatigued by. Um, so I'm going to open it up if anyone wants to be brave and say, is there anything, whether it's a specific campaign or tactic you ran or just like thing that was overhyped and you're sick of hearing about?
Um, Maybe I can step in and talk about something. So I'm Anna. Hi, everybody. So I help companies go to market using research, not assumptions. So a lot of that has to do with customer research, prospects research, and usually it ties into the goals of we need to update positioning, messaging, go-to-market strategy. And so I think I was kind of underwhelmed because I used some of the tools that when I worked with my clients, they're using tools for research. And so suddenly everything is an insight, right? You're feeding these customer research, customer conversations into the tool. And I was upset and kind of bummed, right? I was hoping to see some, like, oh my gosh, aha moments and like it's going to do it for me. It's not, right? So it ends up being everything is an insight. There's more data. There's no focus. We can't make any decisions. And so that to me was underwhelming. I think simple, going back to simple, I think simple works. You have to, first of all, even before you get that research, nurture your customer relationships. So they want to actually talk to you when the business need comes up, right? So then you're not like chasing after them, like, please talk to me, please talk to me. And also setting your goal for the research. So, why are we doing this research? So that we can make actual decisions and don't just rely on AI for insights. And I don't know if anybody else has tried any of those research tools and has a better experience, but that was my experience.
That's awesome. Yeah, Anna, I totally relate to what you're saying. I feel like, I have definitely clients asking me, hey, what's the prompt I should be using to analyze these 5 interviews I've done with my customers? I was like, you don't need a prompt, just read the interview scripts, transcripts, and try to figure out what are the insights because there are definitely things that are missing when you're just using AI to do that. And I think recently I was writing about this and somebody also shared similar thoughts, which is sort of how AI has taken our original thinking process. So what I like to tell people is to try to think first on your own and then use AI to supplement. But I think when you're trying to do the opposite, especially for these very strategic tasks, it just removes the things, the very things that make something really great. So fully relate.
Totally. And that's what I would do. I would do it myself, just like I always did, right? Before I started using these tools, and then compare it. And it's like, oh, you have 87 insights. Oh, shoot, right? But I had something to look back on. Like, well, did it kind of match up? And like, if it, hopefully it did. And then there's, something to go from.
Yeah, to kind of build off that, hey folks, I'm Mark. I went back in-house as a VP of marketing this year. And we've been trying a lot with AI, like everyone has. And a big learning, I think, Natalie, to kind of, Anna, build off your research point around data, is if you don't have um, clean, accurate, organized data, starting with like a customer file, which is all of your customers, the revenue that they're paying you, renewals, all this stuff. Like if you don't have the foundation in a good spot, like it's going to be hard. And one last point, if you don't have someone, a human, doing the process for at least 1 month, if not more than a month, that you can use to train the AI, and then take the second step of having the human kind of verify that the AI is working, and then maybe third step, which is fully AI autonomous, right? Or whatever, generative. Like, you're just gonna run into a lot of issues. So I think there's just been a lot of maybe just overzealous folks trying AI maybe a little bit too quickly, and they don't have some of the foundational stuff done. So like, we're really focused on cleaning up all of the data, making it a really strong foundation, and then following a pretty methodical process to train the AI for whatever job we're trying to have it do better for us, so that it does actually create more productivity for the business and efficiency.
Mark, I have a quick follow-up question. Do you have a requirement like, hey, if we're going to use any tool or create some sort of custom GPT, like we must do this many rounds of testing or we must test it for this long? I think I've been so guilty of this, and I've seen a lot of marketers who are like, I built my GPT, we're good. And then I tested a little bit and you're like, oh, no, this is giving terrible answers. Actually, I really should like it actually made it more complex. And I'd love to know if there's any process you've implemented to sort of force yourself to be checking it.
We've just hired a full-time business system admin, and he's going to be kind of like a governance process type layer. I hate the word governance, even though I'm in the governance space, but like, yes, to do kind of what you're saying now, like give us a better framework to make sure that we're uh not just shipping something without the right oversight, but like not keeping the oversight on something that has been shipped. Because if you ship something and you don't watch it close enough, it can kind of start to go sideways. At least that's what we've seen.
Anyone have anything didn't work? Oh, sorry, Camille, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just gonna like chime in on that, and I'm by no means like an expert on the GPTs, but the one thing that I noticed is like I'll try and get it to a point where it's like 25% editing, right? Like because anything before that, if you're making something and the output is like any 50% of it needs to be edited, sort of what's the point? And there's kind of this bigger theme that I have to continue to remind myself of there's no point scaling something bad, which I just think is like a good like
Hmm.
marketing like theme that I'd been telling myself for years, but it's just um exponential, I guess, like with AI, right? With the presence of AI. It's like we can scale everything. People expect us to scale everything, right? Yes, and to do it yesterday. But there's really no point in like scaling something bad. And then the other check that I have for myself is like, have you defined what good looks like yet? Right. And those things go hand in hand, right? If you haven't defined what good looks like yet, you don't know how to scale the thing yet because you don't know what good looks like, right? And so that's where if I'm doing something 3 to 5 times, it's like, okay, let's start to make like a GPT or start to at least document like some of the things that are working well. And then knowing that I'll refine that, but trying to get it to like a 75% mark of, okay, this will at least like alleviate some of the like initial upfront work of just like putting together the outline or the structure for posts or small things, right? So that it's just like more of an editing job. So it's trying to outsource those things. But again, like going back to, do we know, do I feel confident on what good looks like, right? And being able to explain it internally, and then also being able to, yeah, explain it to whatever chatbot you're using.
Yeah, I think that's why so many of these AI initiatives where people are trying to just build everything in-house are failing because we don't even know, even with our own data, what good is supposed to look like for a certain discipline. I've talked to a lot of different portfolio companies where they attempt to just hire somebody, build it all for their instance, and it fails because there's probably a tool out there already that understands like a channel very specifically well, and your data can fit into that, and the juice is worth the squeeze from that lens. But yeah, all of this AI talk has been very, very similar, I think, to like the boom of account-based marketing platforms a couple of years ago. Nobody knew what good looked like from an account-based marketing perspective. Like, what are the metrics we should be tracking? How does this really impact us in our, our pipeline, our greater operating model? We just assumed that the tech knew it too. So it's tricky, right? I think there's areas probably where AI, if you're really, really certain and know the discipline really well, building it yourself might make sense, but I think there's just so much out there that there's probably a handful of agents that you can lean on and learn from, and then maybe know what good likes for your specific instance a little bit better.
I think, hey everyone, I'm Peyton Walbeck, run marketing here at Nectar. All my internet's unstable, it says. So if I start getting choppy, just mute me and move on. But I think that one thing that we saw at the beginning of this year was a lot of people like on LinkedIn and socials talking about, these brand new automation or AI programs to, acquire customers for cheaper as we're all experiencing increasing customer acquisition costs. And I think that the mistake we made was thinking that we could just adopt those programs and build them as well and use them instead of using AI and automation to accelerate what's already working that we're doing. There's so much context that goes into like what other people are doing with AI and building, acquisition programs that depends on context. It depends on who they're selling to, their ICP, the company sizes. There's just so many factors that go into the success behind the programs that people are building. I think a learning that we had was that we're much better off instead of doing new programs that's working for other people, is figuring out how we make AI and automation work for the programs that we're currently doing to make them work even better. So it just kind of reminded me that as Camille and Corinna were talking about that stuff earlier.
What's funny is like this conversation. I'm Andrew. I coach people who lead growth teams, but this conversation was basically the conversation that I had with a bunch of my clients about what isn't going well. So every single one of them had OKRs related to using more AI. Every one of them felt like this pressure to like be an expert already and have the answers and like invest hours every single week into finding these answers. But like on the inside, didn't really know what it was or didn't have a good idea what good looked like. Every week there was like a new tool that they had to evaluate. The next tool was better than the last, or was these new agencies popping up. And so I just felt like the pace of change was too much this year. Like I talked, Natalie and I re-recorded about it. We just released a podcast episode about this yesterday, but I heard about it really all Q3 and Q4 from folks kind of boots on the ground that they were just tired. This was like a tiring year. Folks were just worn out and growth was slower. Like not bad. Some companies had restructuring. There was a little bit of that, but I think just in general, the rate of growth for 95% of B2B software companies slowed down to a more modest growth trajectory. And then there's like the 5% who it is insane right now. And so I think that 5% felt like this weight almost on top of a lot of folks. So I just talked to a lot of folks this year that just felt like this was a tough year personally and that they're worn out and they're ready for a friggin' break.
Think everyone's ready for the holidays.
Yeah.
Before we move on to things that went well, Brendan, any things that went wrong? Or I loved your comment of my guy for real when Andrew was comment. Okay.
Yeah, it's exhausted. We're all tired. I just texted my friend Bridget. She posted something on LinkedIn of Kevin sitting in the limo eating pizza in Home Alone, and I'm like, I think it's maybe Home Alone 2. That's where I want to be right now. Hi everybody, I'm Brendan. I don't do real work. I play video games and go to CrossFit and talk about going to CrossFit. Sorry, everybody else had professional intros. Here's what didn't work this year. I did an experiment with vertical video. I've been sitting on hundreds of hours of podcast clips and, all of that sort of stuff. And I was like, I just have probably like 150 vertical videos. What if I just post them to TikTok and, do all the best practices, everything we think we're supposed to do when we're sitting on all this content. Everybody makes posts on LinkedIn about, hey, turn your one thing into 10,000 shittier, smaller versions of it. And I was like, well, maybe it'll work. So I posted it to all those channels. I got, 25,000 views on each of those specifically. So YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram. So what is that? 75,000 views. No self-reported attribution, no significant audience growth, really nothing to report other than a lot of time spent and a lot of views. This is a good experiment. But I'm not super sure, other than bragging about how many views I got, that it is that valuable.
I feel like recently videos have not been performing as well for me. I don't know if anyone else is seeing that, but like the vertical video hype that I feel like was so real for a while, maybe because I've done the same thing. You use Riverside, you record it, it spits out a clip for you. Like maybe it's become oversaturated, but it seems like the only thing that works now is like selfies and pictures of people.
I still believe in it fundamentally. Like I believe in vertical video as a way. I like to consume that stuff. I really, really do. It is just challenging to then, like we were talking about with other initiatives, like say like, hey, this had some ROI for us other than
Right.
brand.
Brandon, I thought I remember when you first started doing that, you had found that when people then came into your funnel, they were like mentioning those videos or like saying like it helped when it came to actually closing people and things like that. Like You didn't see that or?
On LinkedIn, yes. LinkedIn impressions. On LinkedIn, I found that unless you're willing to play the game of like going into like looking at what the on the video tab on LinkedIn, what those little like categories are, like my 5 to 9 after my 9 to 5, or like work besties or something. Um, if you're gonna do those, you might get a lot of impressions. Those impressions won't be views though. Those numbers will be really different. I
Hmm.
found that the impressions on LinkedIn for my videos are trash. They're like a tenth of my regular text posts or image posts or infographics.
Yeah.
But do people do mention only when I post them on LinkedIn though. When I all these other platforms, nobody's been like, "Oh, I follow you on YouTube," or I saw you on TikTok or something like. There's been no mention of that anywhere in there, which is kind of what I assumed. It was my hypothesis. But I think
Yeah.
like after 6 months of doing it, or 90 days of doing it, I think I'm kind of confirmed on that hypothesis.
So that's a good result because then you know where to push more, right? That's
Hmm.
actually a good experiment. Good work.
Yeah, well, that's the thing is I think a lot. That's why we're talking about bets today, which is why I wanted to mention it. It was a very strategic bet. I wanted to see what this did. I'm not writing it off yet, though. I'm still going to do it. I wonder what happens now if I just don't take random batches of 2 to 5 podcast clips from every single podcast I've ever done. What if I
Yeah.
actually do a focus strategy? What if I'm actually creating for those platforms? What happens then? What if the video is all like that sort of thing versus like, I mean, what is that account? Like, listen to Brendan talk about random stuff? I don't know.
I
I
I
would
know
do
you've been doing I've been seeing more like infographics from you too.
Hmm.
How are you finding those?
It takes a lot of time. I spend a lot of time crying trying to figure it out. And it I like, here's the thing. I know this sounds really dumb. I think Mark, like we all want two things. And so far we've all talked about like the ROI of stuff. Like we want to have impact. I think we all also want to make stuff we're proud of. Like we want to
Yes.
like the things that we make, whether you're in-house or solo or whatever. Like I don't know anybody that's like, oh yeah, I just published 48,000 really spammy SEO pages this year. And I'm super proud of that. Like maybe, but it's kind of few and far. And this comes from an SEO guy. Like there's some people that are proud of that. Most people are not. And I think we want to be proud of our work and be able to show our friends our work. I think that matters a lot. And I think that's kind of also what we're touching on here is like find it. I'm gonna six
Mhm.
seven this. Like finding that balance, you know?
I like this question.
Yeah, I was gonna say this question sort of perfectly predicted my next question. Um, let's start with the bets. Then we'll go to the aggressively kill. But if there was, yeah, one bet that you would continue for next year or boil down for 2026, like what are you bringing over?
I think this depends on like your pricing and packaging and ICP, of course. For us, we're betting hard on live chat, actually.
Humans
Like
or
on your site?
AI?
Human first. We have to train
Cool.
the models with humans. Yeah, I got to do human, then layer in some AI, then maybe some fully autonomous AI. But yeah, live chat.
Hmm.
And on the website, right? Like chatbot?
Website and an app.
Oh.
Yep.
I think for me, I would say conversions. I think even more than net new pipeline production. I think that it's most important for teams to be focusing on converting through the pipeline stages, the pipeline that we're currently creating. I think that there's massive gold mine in revenue in that we've been so focused on creating new pipeline for a decade in SaaS that we've lost sight of how impactful optimizing your pipeline uh, for conversions can change the game.
Yeah, I gotta say, Peyton, that was the only account-based marketing program that just exceeded any expectation across multiple B2B SaaS clients this year is pipeline acceleration plays, like purely.
Yep,
And that can be simple
totally.
experiences like in-person dinners. User Gems did that in every city. We crushed it. It was the highest performing out of anything they do, and they're predominantly known for like doing digital ads. Like inaugural content too, just something that's really bespoke to the company. Navattic does a great job with this with their interactive state of demo, like crushes it. So even like a customer advisory board and how does that work with how you're thinking about in pipeline prospects? Like they're just really good marketing campaigns or tactics we can think of that I think that when we only focus on how are we just bringing in net new constantly, to your point, we forget about how important it is to bring it down the funnel.
Yeah, I think related to that, I would even go further and say customer marketing and what's after the conversion, because I think even just from people I'm working with this year, that's something most companies are not really investing that much in, or they don't have a very great strategy. I think this both comes down to actually having a real strategy around it. And the other piece is who's owning that, because I do think there are confusions around, is it sales, is it marketing, is it customer success or something, right? And then that organizational challenge actually sometimes prevents this from being done very well. So, focusing more on that is, I think, is going to be super important when everybody else is fighting for that piece of top of funnel and whatnot. You're just going to spend your time, on the other side of the funnel, essentially.
In the
And
PLG world, I saw that too. I saw a fundamental shift from focusing on acquisition to focusing on retention. And so, marketing the customers, finding ways to keep folks engaged, being more proactive instead of reactive when it comes to churn reduction and all that stuff. And this is like a crazy thing for me to say because I'm like a spreadsheet A/B testing guy, but I saw a huge focus and a lot of wins come from investing in community and live events and analog experiences in a way that like probably former me would have been like, psh, like, okay, like I would have Scott was really effective this year. And so I'm seeing folks making that part of their growth strategy, which to me is bonkers and is cool. So I definitely seen things shift a little bit there.
I'm just like so happy to hear all this stuff come out from you guys because it's like why I renamed my show to Building with Buyers because I believe in the power of this, the customer marketing plays that are going on. But I think that it's definitely, Yilin, you said it, like not everyone really knows that they're doing it. And if they are doing it, it's not like a strategic part of a company, just, like say, sales and HR and customer success, like customer marketing. Maybe you're doing a little bit just kind of on the side. You don't really know it, but to make it really a big strategic push, you have to have a leader and you have to have goals. And so I think it's evolving now where on my podcast I'm hearing more people talk about it as a strategic lever for growth, which has been really interesting and really exciting, and I didn't know that's where I was going to go with the show. But really I'm like asking what's the business goal for customer marketing? Is it NRR? Is it reducing churn? Is it building trust? Is it referrals? Is it word of mouth? Is it upsell, cross sell? Is it a few of those things? And it's not just advocacy that I'm hearing. Now I'm starting to hear more like I had Kevin Lau on the show recently from VP Marketing at Freshworks, and he's talking about um, moving into like full customer journey ownership. So everything from adoption of the onboarding, life cycle, retention, even voice of customer, which is stuff that I focus on, is sitting under that team. So I think this is like a really cool, interesting time and really get excited that you guys are mentioning this stuff too.
Any other thoughts on customer marketing? If not, we got a good question about SEO, and I selfishly wanted to ask about GEO. I'm sure, Brendan, you have some thoughts here, but I wanted to close the customer marketing thread. Any final thoughts on that?
Yeah, I guess a quick thing on customer marketing is trying to figure out how to like summarize because at first I was gonna say video, like, but that's a pretty big bet. And um but I think like valuing in-person interactions, which is a theme that everyone's kind of said here, and how you do that in content is when you have everyone together at these events, uh, like how are you taking advantage of that, right? And so like one of the best things I think that we did this year was we had some of the right people in the right place, and we coordinated a webinar like that weekend, and to schedule out at a time that people would actually attend the webinar, and that allowed us to do something really high quality. And then that same day, also do some testimonials, customer stories, which we're now like getting these like nice clips from, as well as the customer story. And so just really like valuing those in-person interactions, and then designing like a lot of the actual like raw collection like of that content that you can do a lot with later, and taking the time up front to plan it so that content is really good and you're like just really valuing like the hour or two that you might have with a customer.
We do that at our customer events, and it's so nice that we then don't have to chase case studies around. It's like we record it at the event, we make it quick, we make it more focused around like the cool work the person's doing it. We call it a show and tell, not a case study. And one thing that I'll add before I do want to define customer marketing, as you put in the chat, Brennan, but I think like an example, because sometimes people are thinking like, what is customer marketing? How can you actually put the customer first? As we do these roadshow events, and the first half of the event, the majority of it, we don't invite prospects. Even though it's like we have our happiest customers in the room who would probably really help close some deals, but they have told us, I don't really feel comfortable giving you guys honest feedback if I feel like I have to sell the prospect next to me. Or like I don't necessarily like I want to get in an in-depth conversation about how I use Navattic. They're going to be good and bads, of course, like any software. And if they're prospects, they might slow that down a little bit. So I can't tell you whenever I tell people I throw this event, the first question is, oh, do you invite prospects? And we'll do a happy hour sometime at the end. We'll invite a few, but for the majority of it, it's no. And I think that's an example of like what's hard about customer marketing is it's so easy to prioritize net new pipeline when you have happy customers in the room over just like the customer experience. Um, but would love to hear. I feel like Anna, you probably have a good definition for people who are also listening and saying like, how would you define customer marketing?
You know, I've talked to so many people that maybe I don't have a great succinct definition of this, but to me, customer marketing is not just case studies. Customer marketing has to do with leveraging customers for your growth efforts. And so case studies is kind of showing proof, and yeah, that helps for growth, but really making them part of your go-to market strategy, which I think is super exciting because people don't think about that. People are like all the way up there, like top of funnel, thinking of like, oh, well, we need the website and we need SEO and we need, paid ads and we need all this stuff. And they don't think about their customers, but their customers are sitting right there and they're gold. And I remember talking to Emily Kramer on the show and she was like, your product is not your moat anymore. It's just not. Like we can build anything these days, but your customers are unique to you. And so that's sort of like the message that I keep pushing is like look at who you have on board as your customers. They decided to open up their wallet and go with you. Like what makes them different? What makes them unique? Get to know them and because they are your moat, not your product.
I'll um I'll add to that too, and just one thing that I always thought was a helpful way for me to think about customer marketing was that within customer marketing, there's the idea of marketing with customers and then marketing to customers. Um, and so I was just found that was helpful. It's like marketing to customers, that's the part of customer marketing where you're actually trying to drive product adoption or like drive upsell expansion by marketing to your existing customer base. And then marketing with customers was a lot of what you were talking about there, Anna, which is like understanding your customer, voice of customer, all the customer evidence that you're able to gather, and then using that in your marketing and to drive growth. So I always felt like there's like the two sides.
That's a great point. Yeah, there are. Yeah.
Okay, we have two good follow-up questions about customer marketing, and then I promise we will get to SEO and GEO. That will be next. But I do want to get these follow-up questions first. Any favorite? Oh, first of all, what's your favorite way to share a customer voice or voice a customer? It sounds like based off of some of the conversation we had earlier about AI research, that might not be the favorite way, but
This is actually something that clients ask about, like what's the best way to get everybody aligned because it's so hard, especially the larger you are. And I actually recorded a couple episodes with folks that share the way that they like to do it. It's really like make it a core part of your company's activities. Like it's not just a one-off here, I'm going to share it and then let's forget it, but how can you bake it into your dailies, your weeklies? Brendan, we recorded an episode together, remember? And so it was less about like sharing a report and more about how can you bake this into like we just talked to a customer, we just did this event with customers, we just and like pipe it through into Slack, bring up the quotes, make it part of your company culture because the companies that are close to their customer, not just saying they're close to their customers, but actually they're sharing, they're talking about it, and it's not just like a quarterly thing, but an every day and an every week thing.
I love that. Okay, I want to get to the focus on in-person events. Do you invest in content creators, social media managers to create content and spread awareness online, or employee-led content creation? I mean, I think that that pairs well into part of what this program is, which is our advisor program. But I am curious if other people are seeing with the rise of in-person events, if the customers, your clients that you're working with, are they hiring someone to then make sure they're distributing all this social media content, maybe recording at the event? I personally feel like yes. I feel like I don't know the last time I went to an event where there wasn't sometimes like a camera in my face, which sometimes I'm like, maybe not recording everything. Like it's not a karaoke event that someone was recording, and I was like, I don't know if anyone needs to be see me sing. But curious about others here.
I
Definitely
mean,
seeing
I shared
that.
a
Definitely seeing the rise of like the evangelist as well. Like in addition to the social media manager who's like distributing stuff, also some people who are creating their own content and sort of evangelizing their brand without just solely talking about their brand and promoting the things that they've already done, but like thought leadership in a different way. So that's what I'm seeing a little bit, which is cool.
I was gonna say I shared a photo. Also, Mark, I can't not do that. Do we have the same hourglass? Do we have the same one? I think we do. Might have the exact same one. Best friends. Good job. Pretty close, if not exactly the same. All right, anyways, good talk. Uh the I shared a photo of me getting absolutely smoked by what was essentially a wave in Wyoming because I went to an event there and that was like work related, I guess, and things like that. How do you not share that? Like that's you it's so good. So I think it's like a quality debate and a tactics debate of like, should we be doing this? Yeah, and if it's good, everybody's gonna want to share it. It creates like a buzz around things, especially for customer events, right? Natalie, like you did a banger of an event. I thought user evidence did a great event. Like more and more companies are doing these types of like small events. They're bringing in their friends, their community, but also potential customers, people. There's all sorts of strategic ways to figure out who should come. Uh, but there's nothing that change like we're all starving for that. I mean, at least I am. Maybe I'm just like a raging extrovert, but I think like especially not a lot of us like not being in office, like it's nice to be around peers and be casual and things like that. We miss that. We don't, a lot of us don't get it.
I feel like what's changed is it used to be pictures of the presentation that got shared. Like I
Yeah.
feel like when you went to
Right.
conferences 5 years ago, everybody had their phone out, taking pictures of the slide, sharing that with a one-liner. Nobody does that anymore. Now everybody shares pictures from the happy hour or at those events, like all the cool B-roll stuff that happens behind the scenes and the new friends you make. Like, so what is shareable has just changed.
I think that just coming back to a little bit around like customer marketing, sorry, bringing it back to that. But I think people are looking for opportunities, like opportunities to share a presentation. Like your customers are looking for those opportunities. They don't want more swag necessarily, unless it's a Navattic blanket, of course. But they want opportunities to like get on stage and they want opportunities to like, be a little bit more well known. And so it's these events are creating fun, but also creating fulfillment, I think. So it's not just you're a customer and you're a customer, but really how can you can be part of the company culture and like be fulfilled, even more fulfilled, right? Maybe not necessarily, maybe you're not getting it from your own company as much, but then you're a customer and you're getting it from another company. That to me is interesting.
Yeah, would you feel better getting a $50 gift card for doing a testimonial on G2 or being flown out to a special event in your industry where you get to be shown as like the hero? Like the ROI there is long beyond just the company that the customer is currently at. They're going to want to take you to the next job and the next job and the next job. So thinking about ROI through that lens would be a big game changer, I think, for anybody.
I love that. It's kind of like rather than focusing, yes, like you might want someone there creating cool content, but if you create a good enough event, people are just going to share it. And like that's kind of distribution method. Okay, I'm gonna go back now. And I'm gonna ask this really selfishly because when I was thinking about what didn't work for me this year, I'm having a hard balance of saying it did or didn't work. But generally, like, I think exactly to Victoria's question, the balance between like SEO and I'd say really GEO is a content and a volume game versus high level thought leadership, which we will always do. Our reports are staples at Navattic. But I felt like I both made strides in GEO this year and that like we rank well, we're getting leads from it, all that stuff. but it just feels like whack-a-mole, where like every single time we rise, someone else rises too. So I can't say it's like a win. Like we've almost stayed the same level of visibility if that's what we're measuring, but we've done more. So I don't know. I would love to hear if anyone's thoughts on the volume versus thought leadership, if anyone's really seen success with GEO. It's not like we didn't see success, but I wouldn't call that a win for this year for me.
All right, I'll talk about this. Well, I think it's so these are hard things, right? Because we're running races and we're running against competitors. We're also running against the tide or headwinds or whatever we want to call it, right? There's environmental pieces as well. So we might run the best race of our lives and set a PR and be blown away and still come in by placing worse than last year, which sucks, right? So we kind of have to like benchmark against ourselves. And also, like, I have a lot of clients that come to me and they're like, oh, we need to get our traffic back. We need our traffic back. And I'm like, sweet summer child, that traffic is not coming back. Like, it's not. Some of my friends started describing this as like the great traffic collapse. Like, for a long time, website traffic was a proxy for trust. If I get the more traffic I get, that shows more audience trust. I'm able to build even more trust because I get that traffic. Now trust is being built other places. To your point, Natalie, like it's being built in Chat GPT and Perplexity and things like that. It's being built on social. I think for a long time you could have a SEO strategy, and now we call it AEO, GEO, whatever. You can have a strategy for that. I just find that the best strategies for those are content strategies. And it's not, I'm also very wary of people poo-pooing tactics as an excuse to play small. That happens a lot. People say things like, oh, well, it's, we got to do quality. It's got to be quality. It's going to be really high quality. And a lot of times that's just proxy for like, I don't want to work that hard. I don't want to try that hard. But I think within there, like a good content strategy covers a lot of those things. The best stuff should be really good buyer enablement, should be really good sales enablement, starting it down funnel, talking to your 3S teams, sales success and support. God forbid we actually talk to our customers once in a while. Not everybody has customer marketing as a function. Most of the teams I work with are one just absolutely exhausted marketing leader with a couple other people, right? Like they don't have that as a function. They try to talk to customers and they get pushback about like, oh, we already send our customers too much and they don't want to talk and blah, blah. Yeah, they do. Yeah, they do. The good ones do, the ones that'll be your customers forever. But all of that, like, I think a lot of people are also doing it wrong, right? You do, to Andrew's point earlier about like taking photos of the slides. Like there's a couple tools out there right now that are touting themselves as like, they're trying to get in on that land grab early and cash in on all the hype. And they're like, oh, if you just buy us, we'll just monitor all the AEO stuff and spin up 10,000 pages automatically, no problem. And it just publishes itself and it's just whiz bang magic. And it's just not true. Like none of that's true. And we're all skeptical, but like people still buy that stuff, because your CMO hears from another CMO that they're doing it. So then they have to do it. Um, so I don't know. I don't think anybody's transparently like that. This is what I do. It is a way more challenging landscape, and we're having to re-educate the leadership team of like traffic is not trust anymore. Content builds trust other places. Like I post on LinkedIn today, my two most valuable pieces of content are a Loom video and a slide deck. And I don't know a lot of people in their content calendar that have let's make a Loom video and a slide deck in there. They have keywords and blogs and other like bullshit, but like not the stuff that actually moves.
I mean, we've invested a lot in AI. I call it AI search. I like just AI search personally better than AEO, GEO. But like we've seen a lot of good momentum because we focused on a couple like fundamental truths. One is middle funnel, bottom of the funnel content. It's very product marketing. So like my product marketing lead is like very much deep into our strategy with the terrific agency we're using. We also use Profound through this agency to create a very customized way to track prompts at scale, which is extremely helpful on multiple levels. To your point, Brendan, like just tracking prompts and then spitting out crappy content will not work. That is complete garbage. But you do need to like understand the things you're doing. How is that changing your ranking in the three top AI search engines, ChatGPT, Google AI mode, and then I think it's Perplexity. So yeah, there's that, and then also there are just fundamental SEO truths that still hold up. I do think like the link building stuff is important. I think educating people like how impressions, you could have three impressions on one result page. You could be on the right, in the top, and at the bottom in the traditional thing, and that's all. Those are three impressions. I mean, that's almost like billboards if you want to like dumb it down. Like, hey, we were shown three times on a search result page in three different spots. No clicks resulted from that, but we're top of mind versus like our competitor did not show there. The impression did not happen. So yeah, there's a slew of things that have to happen, but you have to commit. You can't just commit for 3 months or 6 months. You got to make like a multi-year commitment to like really making sure I think the AI search for your business is going to succeed because things are changing still so fast and quickly. And I think overall what happened this year is buyers continue to get more and more control. We've talked about this for decades now. The internet has given buyers so much more control of everything. AI search and these LLMs and all these AI things, I think continue to just give buyers way more control over things. So it's very interesting.
What are you guys finding about the people that do find you in the AI search method? Like, how high quality are those folks?
When that's a great question. When they do convert, very high quality. So HubSpot now has AI referrals. They rolled that out as a source at the end of August. We ask it as part of our self-report attribution. Last time I checked, which is about a month ago, 1 out of 8 people find us from AI search, and we're talking like hundreds of inbound demos a quarter, like a lot of demos. And these people's early data are converting as high, if not higher, than all other sources. So yeah,
Wow.
it shows that we should invest.
I think one thing to add to that, and Mark, this goes to your point that like it really is a lot of product marketing. And I think the answer to this question of, quality versus quantity, it's honestly a little bit of both. But we've also seen it be like a buyer enablement tactic where a lot of people are in funnel. They've literally sent us screenshots being like, I compared you to your three competitors and, this platform, this is what it said. So while I'm saying like I don't know our results yet for GEO, we will 100% keep investing because we know that even if it's not just like the leads we're getting in, people are searching us and they're going to continue to do it. So as we talk about like what can you do in funnel, it actually can also be a good in funnel technique, but that's where you have to have good content that talks about your product correctly and your positioning, or else it's just going to pull from what your competitors are saying.
Two quick things on that, Natalie. You have to have a good knowledge base. Like your knowledge base like, is actually extremely important to this whole thing we're talking about. So like look into that, which is usually not owned by marketing, right? That's actually support. And then secondly, uh, do like pros and cons of XYZ competitor, pros and cons of your company. Just do that search. It takes you 2 seconds. It is fascinating what you'll see and how then you will need to change your content or your influence strategy when it comes to these AI search engines. I agree.
Okay, we're somehow almost 10 minutes left, which I knew this was going to happen. I was like, at first, I was a little worried about filling time, and I was like, no, I'm going to blink, and suddenly we're going to be talking for 50 minutes. So thank you all for this great conversation. I do want to end sort of going back to the early question we got of basically just high level. What is one thing you're excited to bring into 2026? What is one thing you're definitely not bringing into 2026? And I saw we had a question about AI tooling. I'm going to say just like a tool in general, it'll probably be AI, but in case it's not, that you're definitely going to also bring into 2026. Okay. Anyone feel ready? Anyone feel brave?
I'll go. I kind of already mentioned it. 2026, bringing in tons more focus on retention versus acquisition, leaving reliance on paid in 2025. My favorite app is not even fucking close, is the Whisper app. I'm done typing. I use Whisper. There's no vowels if you Google it. It's incredible. I can't live without it.
What
And I
does
think you're,
Whisper do? Oh, sorry.
It's
oh, I
like
guess the,
it's text or it's speech to text.
Okay.
And so I can talk 1,000 times faster than I can type. My fingers even hurt just thinking about typing. So
And then
I don't type
what do you do
anymore.
with and then what do you do with that text?
It plugs into every platform where you would type. So I hold down on my keyboard a special key, and then I can just talk, and it types out exactly what I talked, and you can give it parameters, and it cleans it up. And if you use an AI, you can use it to like clean it up even better, and it's incredible. Whatever it costs, it's worth it, and I'm telling you.
Love it.
I'm gonna try and get into it, Andrew. I'm skeptical, but all right, you sold me.
I
Um,
was too. I'm not going there.
I would say the same. I'm going to push harder on pipeline acceleration plays above anything else for account-based marketing. I think it's just time that we move beyond acquisition, net new, sole focus for these programs. And then also just treating it like a campaign. It's been the biggest game changer for companies when they stop thinking about EBM as a campaign and just start thinking about it as like an operating model. That's really helped us with enablement. I'm still pretty obsessed with Lovable as a tool, an AI tool. It's got me to stop building decks on my own and how I present to clients. So pretty obsessed with that. It's really easy to prompt. You can also do it from Gemini. There's a nice connection there. But yeah, that'd be my focus.
Love it.
I can go. There's one formula. It's very simple that every company needs: brand, demand, customers. Just those three things. I think every company needs that. I think brand matters more, creativity matters more into 2026, curiosity matters more beyond dashboards. Sorry, Andrew. I think dashboards are important too, but I think people need to be asking why more. And I think customer love is a huge opportunity. Customers, from what I'm seeing, working with my own clients, are reluctant to help you and talk about you if you don't put in a little bit of work. And I think, Natalie, Navattic is a great example of the fact that you don't need to be huge to do scrappy, low tech, creative approaches to build relationships, to surprise and delight. And so you're like a great use case.
I appreciate that. Okay. Who's next?
I'll go. So the thing that I want to bring into it, and this is, I guess, less of a marketing tactic, but either way I'll say it, is in my business talking to customers more. I think Brendan, you alluded to the fact that not enough people talk to customers. I'm probably in that pool, and not enough, anyways. So trying to have real conversations with customers, and even just, in my business, just welcoming more questions that, at scale, can you answer every question? No, but for me, I think that will lead to good content too. So that's one thing I want to try to do. I want to leave my exhausting LinkedIn schedule behind and and not worry about that as much. Um, and I think tooling, uh, I use Relay.app. I think for me, like what's been most helpful when it comes to AI is like, yeah, a little bit of AI, but honestly, like AI mixed with a lot of just automation. So I think trying to the point that was made earlier around just like find the things that you feel you've kind of manually mastered or done enough that you know what good looks like, and then using maybe a little bit of AI, but also just like some automation. And I find Relays is just really easy to use to be able to stitch together automation, then also being able to use different like LLMs to do parts of it. So yeah, check it out.
Sorry, I
I
didn't
can,
mention. Oh, sorry. I just wanted to
oh,
mention
go
one,
ahead.
one thing I'm leaving. I just talked about like what I'm bringing into 2026, but something I'm leaving is the what Camille had mentioned, like everything has to scale. No, it doesn't. Everything doesn't have to scale. If you have churn, there are real people. So you should call them and talk to them or, have a Zoom call with them. There is somebody that was on the podcast and they talked about how there was a problem with getting people through onboarding. And so he added friction to the onboarding. It's Foti from Growth Mentor. He added friction to onboarding and talked to every single new customer that would get on the platform. Yeah, it kind of slowed things down and it took a bunch of time, but he needed to add that friction. So not everything has to scale, especially when you're dealing with things that are problematic. You probably want to pull back on the scaling part.
I think
Yeah.
on my end, I would double click just again on the pipeline acceleration. I think that that's what we want to be our biggest bet in 2026. And I think that everyone always says, we want to do better at pipeline acceleration. We want better conversions from pipeline stages. And that's nothing new. It's always on top of mind, I think, for go to market leaders. But what we're doing differently this year is one, putting the budget behind it, and two, putting the focus behind it. So it's not just we want to do it better. It's, hey, we're in budget season right now. We're going to dedicate a good portion of our budget to accelerating pipeline. versus just hoping that it happens. And on top of that, having someone on our team be that's that's the core of their job is thinking about pipeline acceleration day in, day out. We never lose the focus throughout the year as different priorities come onto our plates and we get more pressure for more pipeline. So I think keeping that focus, keeping resources there for budget, and I think that will be the big thing that we take into 2026 to make sure that that can be a one of the biggest impact drivers for us. And for tools, Natalie didn't tell me to say this, but I think Navattic for us, like I feel like our team uses Navattic like 30 or 40% to what we could be using it. And that's exciting to me because we already see a ton of value from Navattic. And to think that we could get double the value that we're currently seeing is exciting to me. So I think going into 2026, I'm excited about, doubling down on our Navattic usage, expanding what we're doing with it. And that's exciting to me.
I promise I did not ask, but I appreciate it.
Yeah, I'll Venmo request you after this.
Perfect, perfect.
I guess I'll go. So I think for me, what to do, what I want to focus on in 2026 is actually doing more with less. That's been the theme for me this year, which is having focus and be very clear about what is really important. Because, and I think whether it's a coaching business or any business for that matter, we'll have a tendency to go broad eventually, right? We're like, we just want to do so many different things. But ultimately, I think to have a sustainable business, you need to focus on doing few things exceptionally well, and that's what I want to continue focusing on that. And like some of you have mentioned, that is by keeping a really strong pulse on what your customers and your ideal audience really want, and not over focusing on competitors or what's the big trends that you want to be chasing out there. And I think what I want to leave behind related to that would be like copycat marketing, right? Listening to the noise, what's out there, or focusing on chasing AI trends or whatnot. And in terms of tooling, I actually use, I'm like extremely, um, I'm not really focused on a lot of technology. I don't really use many different tools for that matter. So mostly all my work, if I'm using any AI, is going to be done in ChatGPT specifically. So I think I'll probably just keep it that way for now and really to be honest, right, I think when I heard your podcast, Natalie, I felt very similar, which is somehow this year, a part of the year, I feel like my knowledge and my brain was a little bit eroded because of using of AI. And I don't want that to happen. I want to have a really sharp and clear mind. And so actually, I'll probably return to just a lot of more analog work.
I love that. I'm definitely trying to bring in a clear mind for next year.
Yeah.
Okay.
One thing if I can, sorry, Natalie, I didn't mention a tool, but I mean, I don't use any like there's nothing people probably use the same tools I do like ChatGPT, Claude, but I used Claude to write a really long form content article. I fed it all of the podcast episodes from the year and then it just went so fast like to actually take the transcript information, feed it into the tool, and then have it pull out the things that I care about and then say, no, I don't care about that. That's not something that I want to keep in it, right? Go back and forth. It was just so fast, like a couple days, and I just wrote a whole entire article, and then I could do more content from just that article. So
Yeah, yeah.
that was a great use case.
Yeah, actually, as you mentioned, I actually use Google Notebook LLM. I really like that because it's not adding a whole lot of other AI junk in there.
Okay. Final thoughts. What are we leaving and bringing?
I want to
My
just Oh, sorry. I was just gonna say quickly, build more relationships and deeper relationships at scale, though. Like we have 5,500 customers. We sample a lot of customers each month. Like we have to do it in a way that, can help them, but also help us from a cost and efficiency standpoint at the end of the day. So that's why I said live chat before. I'm bullish on that. And also three tools, definitely Navattic, because we want to do a lot more to get our new products in front of our customers. Navattic is going to be perfect for that. I love Wistia. I got to give Wistia a shout out. I think Wistia is like Canva for video. So my friends have Wistia. And then we do a lot with Gong when it comes to like listening to the customers. We have a lot of, not calling them agents because they're not, but basically, I would say, I don't know what you would call them. I don't know what is an agent co-pilot. It's very blurry, but like ways to take the voice of the customer and distill it into actionable data for us. I did not build this, smarter people did, but it's very helpful. So yeah, that's what I would say, Natalie.
Just check it. Make sure you check everything. That's my only caveat.
Sorry, check exactly.
Ch
Do you mind? Is like,
the,
yeah,
the
wait.
the insights before you act on them. Check the insights.
Agreed. Yes, 100%.
Yeah, just for me, I'll just reiterate what Anna said earlier of not trying to scale like multiple programs at once, or just being realistic in some of that, right? And then just prioritize, right? Like which one are we scaling right now? Which one are we testing? And which one is in refine mode, right? And just kind of keeping it that simple. And then in person interactions, video, like that's what I'm prioritizing for this next year. Things that the AI can't replicate, right? And then tools. Tofu, I'm excited about. So tofu on the AI front, just really campaign thinking, right? Like I love a good mind map, and the ability to sort of like take that mind map, like build it out, is fun.
Love it. Okay, I appreciate everyone sharing what you're bringing, losing, again, spending this hour. I know we're at time, so I'm just going to give a quick recap. I think what made me so excited about this call is I, like a lot of marketers I talked to this year, I think a lot of stress because there was so much pressure. Andrew, to your point, try new tactics, try new campaigns, learn new AI tools. And it just felt like we were feeding a lot of garbage to the top of funnel. And everyone here has said my focus is pipeline, high quality pipeline, or customer marketing. So I hope as someone else who might be in this role, maybe had a tough 2025, you can have hope that, like, okay, it's not just me who's thinking it's time. Yes, we probably still have to do some top of funnel, but to invest again in really quality campaigns is actually going to delight our prospects and customers, which I do think is the fun of marketing, and go back to doing something slowly and correctly versus just scale at all costs. So I really appreciate it. This is putting me in a good holiday spirit going into the new year. And just thank you so much all for joining us. Anyone for watching again. This was our first time trying it. So if you have any feedback, ideas, we'd love to do it again. Okay. Thank you all.
Thank you all.